loading snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? Your boy Gage is here with jokes.
Yo.
You are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today, jokes, there is absolutely no way we cannot discuss the shenanigans at Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount. We don't have a choice, dog. We gotta get into it. So we're definitely gonna do that. We're gonna talk about some stuff from Ubisoft. We're gonna talk a little bit about Game Awards. We're gonna talk a bit about Tekken. But before we do that, jokes, we'll drop the link for our website so that just in case you're not following us across the board, that's one of the easiest ways to do so. It also is a great pathway to supporting us on Patreon, which is really one of the best ways to support us. Folks who go support us on Patreon can pay monthly to kind of put some money on the pot for us so that we can keep doing what we're doing. We really appreciate any and everyone who does it. If you can't, that's cool. We just want you to know it's there, share with other people, continue to watch, share, like, and so forth. But for those of you who have and done so for a long time, we have the 619 Hall of Fame. And so, jokes, if you would play our 619 Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kerbert Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do. Again, thank y'all so much. Jokes.
Cuddy already jumping in.
Cuddy said, hey, yo, in fact, that situation is crazy. Who gets WB? Well, we're going to talk about what we think is happening with that for sure. But it won't be first. First, we have to talk about Assassin's Creed. A couple of things going on. One, Assassin's Creed Shadows' most recent updates have been pretty dope. Jokes. Did you play through?
I haven't played through it yet.
You haven't touched the Attack on Titan content
yet.
Okay. They also have daily rewards for Christmas, for the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
That means you haven't been in to check that either.
Nope. Got to boot it up so I can get my rewards.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You know that the rewards are daily. So every day when you log in, it's a different reward.
Different one.
So you're supposed to log in each day because you get the reward. The rewards are tied to specific days. There is a workaround, however.
Hey.
Oh, man. Andrew, can't wait to see you either. So excited about that. Jokes, if you want to get all the rewards, you can change the date on the console. And you can actually go forward in time and do it too. That's what people have been doing. So but on that note, Assassin's Creed, I would say that arguably in recent times, people's favorite Assassin's Creed is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know you've played through Black Flag.
Yeah.
Smashed it. Wonderful. There have been rumors that they are doing a remake or a remaster for Black Flag. And today, a name leaked for it, saying it's called Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Game Awards is this week. We know that generally we get a bunch of announcements and what have you. I have a feeling that this was a thing that was supposed to get announced at Game Awards. And they just, One, what do you think of the name?
I'm not mad at Resynced. I think that fits perfectly within the Assassin's Creed type of titling in there. So I think that's perfect. Doesn't bother me one bit. I think that's cool and that'll work.
Do you think that there is anything to the name that would denote whether or not this is a remaster versus being a remake?
I feel like in using the term resync, I almost feel like it kind of gives them liberties of doing a little bit of both. Maybe not necessarily completely remaking it, but in possibly, I don't know if they would change any of the mechanics or enhance them a little bit. Maybe it's that type of stuff that they touch more or less. And
So
then, of course,
there are rumors that some of like the RPG elements that have been introduced in like Origins, Odyssey, like the more recent
type of stuff
Assassin's Creeds may have been or may be added to the game. But that also there's people are questioning whether or not the standalone DLC for it will be included as part of it. And there are people speculating that there will either be an additional DLC, something that ties it to something that has been
bigger,
released more recently, like Valhalla or something else that will tie it to one of these other, and that is part of the reason why with the introduction to Assassin's Creed Shadows, they basically did that. Like, how when you load up Shadows,
you have the different games that show up in there. Yep.
We also know that they have Assassin's Creed like Hexy that appears to be like it's going to be like a witch based or something like that, and there could be something that ties that to that, which I think would be interesting. I will tell you this. There's a part of me that is very hopeful that it is a remake. Just because, I don't know, man. At this point, they've done remasters for other stuff. They've updated, different ones to give you 60 FPS or increased resolution or whatever. And when they have done that, they haven't changed the name. So the fact that this has a new name attached to it makes me feel like there's more to it than just like, oh, well, we're just remastering it and putting it out. You know what I mean? I mean, that game came out 2 generations ago. You know what I mean? At this point. So,
and technically, I just thought about technically they've already gave it the like enhancements for like the 60 frames and all of that. So technically, like, even though they haven't changed the like, it still looks good like with those enhancements on it. So,
but you know what? But I'm trying to remember whether or not they actually did enhancements, or if it was just really that the Series X and PS4 Pro boosted it. I don't recall them doing like them making an announcement and being like, oh, you can now replay Black Flag at, you know what I mean? I don't feel like that was a Ubisoft initiative. I feel like that was something that happened with the newer generations of consoles coming out and being like, they can now handle this better and do a bit more,
and we can do those type of things.
Yeah, I don't recall, like, they made a very big deal about Syndicate when they updated, which was only done recently. You know what I mean? Relatively recently when they did that, they made a big deal about it, right? That they did a new version of it. You had to go in and download an update for it and all that kind of stuff. I don't remember that ever happening for Black Flag. So but I guess we'll find out at Game Awards, because that's where I think this is going to happen. What's up, Candace?
I agree with you on that side, because they always try to get something at Game Awards that's going to come out and take by storm. And I think, though, with the success of Shadows, I think Shadows probably reinvigorated the Assassin's Creed franchise a little bit more. I think people really enjoyed that. Comparisons probably to the last couple that have come out on there for it. But Black Flag, and I was at one point, remember, I played Black Flag a little bit and said I did not like the boat mechanics for whatever reason. I went back and played that song, and I was like, I was absolutely wrong. And I don't know what happened. But to potentially be able to remake that, like, if they're able to even expand the world, like if they do add, some additional DLC, that could start to revive, especially if they can tie that in to something else. Like, I really enjoyed when each one kind of tied into each other, but when we decided to drop Desmond and kind of make everything its own individual thing, like, I was always to the hope that at some point we were going to get to like current time Assassins, but that kind of got thrown out the window. So,
hey, I ain't gonna hold you. I want a Desmond outfit. I'm tired of every time you play one of these games, the outfits they always give you are like, let's get an Altair outfit, or let's do nah, dog. I don't want another Ezio outfit. I want a Desmond joint. I want a hoodie and jeans, and some New Balance, bro. Stop playing with me. Yeah, like I feel like, give me something. But I feel like they don't do that, because if they did that, then people would be like, oh snap, they're gonna do like people would think they're gonna do what you were talking about, like, oh, we're gonna get a modern day. They're not doing it, dog.
Because it seemed like it. Like, you showed those elements. Like, it wasn't like you were actually fighting as Desmond at points in time and traversing and doing everything. Like, the elements were there.
Yeah, but they killed him.
I know.
Well, I mean, it didn't even have to be Desmond, but it didn't have to be Desmond. Like, it could have been somebody else. Mm-hmm. They have had other modern day people who are like climbing into an animus and going, like it's not like, there haven't been other opportunities for them to do it. Mm-hmm. They just haven't done it. And I honestly thought at one point, I still think that Watch Dogs was supposed to be a modern day Assassin's Creed to begin with. And they had the crossover stuff with like the same company that did the Animus and all that kind of stuff in it. So I felt like there was something there. But Watch Dogs, I'm pretty sure is a dead franchise for them.
Yeah, at this point.
Again, we'll see at Game Awards. Look, on that note, right, with Game Awards being this week, we've already kind of talked about what we think for Game of the Year and all that kind of stuff, but are you expecting any surprises? Are there any surprise announcements that you think are maybe going to kind of come out of the blue? And if so, by all means, the way you like to shoot for the fences.
Oh, yeah, I'll shoot for the I will gladly do that. Like, absolutely. I think there's going to be at least one or two surprises that'll be in store. One maybe not super far-fetched that I could see happening. Next year is technically it's the 25th anniversary for Final Fantasy X. And I'm hoping that maybe we could get a remake of that. To this day is my favorite Final Fantasy. I think this is like, they've re-released that game at least 5 times now, and it wasn't like there was any like up-res or anything like that. It was just, hey, it was on PS2, here it is on PS3 now. Hey, we're on PS4 now. It wasn't really anything significantly done to it. And I think with the remake of it and potentially what they could add into that, especially using some of the mechanics of what's been involved in some of the newer Final Fantasy titles. Personally, like Final Fantasy 16, like I have it. It doesn't hit the same way.
No.
It does not hit the same way. And maybe this will be a good starting point, is to go ahead and remake a classic like Final Fantasy X. I think that could be a surprise for us. Square Enix probably, I could see potentially doing something like that.
Do you? I mean, I don't want to yuck your yum, bro.
Oh,
but not with them still having to put out the third part
of 7.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they have that kind, like a Final Fantasy announcement of that caliber, it needs to be Final Fantasy 7 Part 3. Give us a date. You know what I mean?
I don't think we even close to that yet.
And show us something. Like, I feel like if they're gonna do that, there have been rumors. I will say on the Square Enix front, there have been rumors that there is going to be a Chrono Trigger remake. And people are saying that they think it's going to be like a 2D HD
type of thing.
remake, yeah, which I think could be really cool. Chrono Trigger is a super beloved SNES RPG, and I think that there's space certainly for that. Do you think we'll get any surprise hardware announcements of any sort?
Even
if it's just a controller.
I feel like Xbox, I feel like we're in the need for the third generation of the Elite controller. I feel like timing probably would be about right for that to show up.
The time has been right for that joint for
a minute now. Yeah, I know.
At this point, I don't know. I will say this: if they're doing an Xbox Elite 3, it has to do what the PlayStation 5 controller does. Like it has to have like the full haptic, like it has to have all of that, or there's no point. Like there's no point, because the truth of the matter is the Volume 2 controller is more than sufficient. Like it's an excellent controller for real. So if you're gonna do it, you go DualSense Edge. Like you gotta kind of add that additional stuff in there and do that kind of thing. I could maybe see them doing that, but there's a part of me that feels like with where they seem to be in terms of hardware and really doing most of their hardware announcements with a third party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everything else is an Xbox kind of thing. It feels more like if they're going to do some sort of a hardware announcement like that, they would probably try to tie it directly to a hardware announcement of their own. And it would not be at this point out of pocket for them to announce, if they were putting out a new console at the end of next year, it would not be out of pocket for them to announce it right now. Like to just show it, because that's what they did with the series. Like they showed it and everybody was like, hold on. And it was like, yeah, it's not coming till next year. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But, they were way ahead of it, when they did it. So it wouldn't surprise me. It might excite me. It wouldn't surprise me if they did it. I don't think we see anything directly from PlayStation, though. PlayStation has basically at this point pushed their VR, their second VR headsets down to a price of like, it just feels like they're just trying to move them and
get them out, yeah,
and be done with it. They're really focused on the what's the name of the portable controller?
The Portal?
The Portal. Now that they have the cloud functionality with it, that seems to be kind of a bit of a focus for them, which I think makes a lot of sense. We do have technically Halo's 25th anniversary coming up for next year, so we could see something, with that. I did see that there was some leaked information in regards to Resident Evil, that Leon Kennedy is in fact in Resident Evil. I'm sure we'll see that at Game Awards. A lot of people are excited about it. I don't really care, but for some people, that's the
thing.
Man, listen, I keep it a buck with you. I'm day one old school Resident Evil, dog, and I would take a Chris Redfield over a Leon Kennedy any day. Chris Redfield will beat the brakes off Leon Kennedy. As a matter of fact, so would Jill. She would beat the brakes off Leon Kennedy. I don't really have any affinity for Leon at all. Like, for real, like when they did 4, and I know people love 4, and they changed the game mechanics and back over the shoulder or whatever, it still would have been doper if it would have been Chris. I liked Chris better in 5.
5? That honestly is probably my favorite one.
Man, yeah, it was like Leon got a beard. Man, so what? So what? You know what I'm saying? Chris Redfield's in Marvel vs. Capcom. Leave me alone, dog. Don't play with me. As is Jill. Like, they're the real ones. They're the real ones.
They the
Everybody
crossovers.
else is like, they're side pieces of cannon fodder. So in other gaming news, Harada is leaving Bandai Namco after 30 years. Said at the end of 2025, he's out, bro. I know you don't really have. I know Tekken's not really your game.
I would say the last two I've picked up a little bit better on, but outside of those, yeah, not so much.
Hey, dog, we need to fix that. We might need to like spend some time at Ocean City and like
Tekken camp while we in Ocean City.
Yeah, bro. Like we might need to. I feel like you're missing out a little bit on something, but it's the end of an era. You know what I mean? Like Harada has been with Tekken since the very beginning. He was like a voice actor on the first Tekken. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, like a community manager, was doing tournaments and stuff like that in Japan, and has been producing pretty much on all of them, on Soul Calibers, on all that kind of stuff for a long time. It doesn't sound like he's completely retiring.
Yeah, he's just stepping away. At least
what he's getting into. You
know
what I mean, or where he's going. It'll be interesting to see, but I don't necessarily want to dwell on it too heavily. I kind of just want to shout out, Harada, because Tekken, there's really only 3 fighting games. I don't really care what anybody else tells you. There's really only 3 fighting games. They are Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat. And for a long time, I was a Virtua Fighter guy over Tekken. But like, for real, Virtua Fighter, I would say, is the precursor and father to all 3D fighting games. Technically, like, it really is the one that kind of set things in stone. But like, those 3 games are more or less the map for every other fighting game that exists, right? Like, if you're playing another fighting game as a 2D fighter, generally you're playing Street Fighter. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what kind of anime characters you put in it or who else you throw on it. You're playing Street Fighter. And 3D fighting games almost don't really exist at all outside of Tekken and Soul Calibur, which are the same company, and Virtua Fighter. And not that there weren't a lot of clones out there, but in terms of being able to stand the test of time and be around, like,
I would agree.
I am personally a 30-year veteran of Tekken. So for my man to be in and have been there for that long, kind of deal with all the ups and downs of what's going on there, just salute, you know what I mean, to him and all the games that he worked on. And I wish him the best, my good man. All right, jokes. It's time to dig into what's happening. It's time to dig in what's happening with Warner Brothers. I can't even tell you how many times we've talked about Warner Brothers on this show.
Yep.
And where they are and what's going on with them and the mishandling of certain things and, changing HBO to HBO Max to HBO back to HBO Max. And like, it's just a lot, right? The Discovery merger, the AT&T stuff. Like, we've kind of walked this path with Warner Brothers for a long time. And a couple of days ago, Netflix announced that they were acquiring Warner Brothers. So I just want to kind of get into some of the specifics of that, if that's cool, right?
I think that's fair enough.
Is geared to look like. So it is an $82 billion deal, right? Yep, pinky finger. $82 billion, comprised of cash and stock. It is not for all of Warner Brothers. Okay. I'll get into what's included and what's not included with it. Part of that $82 billion, $10 billion of it is specifically debt. Warner Brothers has $10 billion in debt.
That's insane.
And so the buyout includes taking on that debt, that $10 billion in debt. Included with it would be WB Studios, so Warner Brothers Studios. It would be obviously HBO and HBO Max, the streamer. So HBO itself as a company, HBO Max as a streaming service. Right? Obviously HBO's properties and IP. So we're talking Sex and the City. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff would be included. Sopranos. And it includes DC Studios. DC Studios includes DC's IP, DC's comic and print business. It also includes the video game studios that are under Warner Brothers. So Rocksteady, NetherRealm, which means Mortal Kombat, right? And of course, obviously DC's IPs, right? So Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, all of that included in this purchase. It also would include like Game of Thrones, which is a Warner Brothers property. Harry Potter, which is a Warner Brothers property. So it's a lot. It would be a very strong and possibly very monopolistic purchase for Netflix. Before we get into what's happened since then, let's just talk about that. What do you think of the idea of Netflix purchasing Warner Brothers? And I'm asking that because I'm just gonna get this part out of the way. Since then, we talked about Paramount being in the forefront for possibly buying Warner Brothers already. Paramount has, in the days after that, attempted a hostile takeover by going directly to Warner Brothers shareholders and offering them what they say is a better deal. We'll get into that. But before that, because if that doesn't happen, Netflix still could end up owning Warner Brothers. Let's talk about what that means and what that would look like. Run that down for me. What do you think about this?
Oh, it's absolutely insane to just think that like Netflix already has a catalog of amazing content, whether it be, shows, movies, whichever way you may want to put it.
Sure.
But when you take just taking DC alone and being able to throw that into the mix, it just creates this thing where obviously Netflix, for the most part, is their own stuff on the streaming platform. Releasing in theaters really isn't their bag, except for within the last within the last year. So it makes you wonder, and they've addressed this since then, because it's like with Netflix taking over, it's like, wow, everything now is just going to go straight to Netflix. We're not going to see like theater releases, any of that type of stuff. Like, I'm sure there's going to be some strategic changes that they would do to bring some stuff to the platform.
Right. I want to kind of touch on that really quickly because I was talking with my friend Brian, who has some firsthand knowledge of dealing with Warner Brothers and Netflix and so forth. And we were talking about it the other night, last night, as a matter of fact, and he was like, Netflix doesn't want movie business. Like, they don't want movies. They basically want movie theaters to not exist. And I was like, I don't know if that's true. Like, we didn't really get into it. But what I'll tell you is that if nothing else, the strength of what they were able to do with K-pop Demon Hunter probably changed a bit of their thinking and their strategic
100%,
like you were saying, in terms of their ability to take something, even if it's already streaming and doing incredibly well and bringing numbers to their platform, and then releasing it in a way that now allows people who maybe are of the few who don't have Netflix, right? Because they already have like 300 billion subscribers or something like that. people who don't have it or didn't watch it, this phenomenon that's kind of happening. And again, it's very possible that this is a one-off. Like, you can't bank all that on something like what the phenomenon that is K-pop Demon Hunters. But there's a strategic opportunity in how you do certain things like that, and where you place them, and what kind of money you can bring in, and how that has a direct effect on your ability to monetize multi-channel, sell all the other kinds of stuff, right? The t-shirts and like all of that kind of stuff, right? And I think that there is a space in which it might make sense for them to continue to push to allow certain things to go to a theater, knowing that they have first dibs on it going to streaming when it does go to streaming.
When it comes out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't, and
actually I was going to bring that up. Cuddy just went right through the last 2 episodes of Training. Yeah, they announced that. Yeah, it's going to be.
Episode. I don't think it's the last.
Yeah, I don't think it's the last two.
The last one.
Because every episode is a movie essentially, so it's like they don't have to do. So,
well, that's Stranger Things is such a phenomenon, but here's the thing: it is a combination and a strategic change, because Stranger Things is a show and not a movie like K-pop Demon Hunter. It's a show because they're in the 5th season, because all the other seasons have been so successful. Even if they put the final episode on Netflix so you can see it the same day, there are legions of people who will pay money to go see it in the theater, to experience it in a large group together, right? In a way they've never been able to experience that show and those characters before. And so there is a new precedence there's already a new precedence for how theaters are being used and what kinds of things can be done in a theater. Concerts, like all that kind of stuff is already changing. The landscape of what theaters are and how theaters work has been something that we have talked about on this channel more or less since COVID had a major effect on like the theater going business and why it's worth it to bother going to the theater if you want to get some kind of an experience that's different from watching it on your TV. So I don't necessarily think that they want theaters to be gone, though I do think they may want to put theaters of their own in play, which is a thing that we've talked about. Like I have said, don't be surprised if Netflix makes a bid to buy out AMC or buy out Regal or buy out, you know what I mean? So that they can take over theaters that are already in existence, right? To try to make some things happen. The Alamo Drafthouse was basically out of business. Sony bought those, right? And so you would know that, like, again, when we went and saw K-pop Demon Hunters at Alamo Drafthouse, but because
they were the only ones originally that were doing it. Because AMC
it's a Sony movie, bro.
That's what. Nobody else wanted to do it, and then after that success, then all of a sudden, like AMC, like, yeah, y'all can come on over here and see that K-pop Demon Hunter in our theaters too.
Well, again, you also have to understand that Sony lost a lot of money in that movie because of the deal they did with Netflix. So what's a good way for them to be able to bring in some additional money on it, that they get something out of it? Put it in the new theaters that they just bought. Put it in the theaters that they own. You know what I mean? And sell out like crazy, right? So I don't necessarily think that I think that there is a time when that was the mindset at Netflix. I don't necessarily think that's exactly what the mindset is anymore.
That's correct.
Yeah, continue. What else do you think? What do you think happens to streaming? Right? We talked about this a little bit when it first got announced. What happens to HBO Max? What happens to to Netflix? And when we talked about it, and I asked you, what do you think they were going to do? You said something like,
I'm a little different now. After really sitting and thinking about it and looking at what's been trending, like I think they'll probably
thought that they would get rid of HBO Max and just bring everything over to Netflix.
And I think, you know what, after really thinking about that, I don't think they would do that. I think we would be looking at the same play like what Disney and Hulu and ESPN are doing, just because one, now the content that's on both platforms is vastly different. You can find some of the similar type of things on each platform, but like when you think of, like you were saying, like your Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, like that type of stuff, yeah, that could live on Netflix without a problem.
It did. For Sopranos was on Netflix for a long time.
So, but I think they would just end up keeping them separate, potentially doing some form of a bundle type of thing that you can get for it. It's just because streaming service is just getting way wacky out of hand with trying to keep stuff. But if they can figure out a bundle way to keep the two platforms together and be able to do it, make it make sense and the cost not be astronomically ridiculous, I think it could work.
My thought on it is that they would keep the two services separate.
Mm-hmm.
However, they would do what. So right now, even though technically, as far as streaming services are concerned, Netflix is your number one.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is the number one streaming platform.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about streaming services, we generally think about video on demand in terms of movies and TV shows, stuff that is created specifically there. And we think about really large budgets. And we don't really think about more or less indie created stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think Amazon, which technically does not, Amazon Prime does not really count as a streaming service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amazon Video sort of does, but because it's packaged in with Amazon Prime,
mm-hmm.
you just get it as part of that. Most people who have it only have it because it's already part of something else that they're getting.
Oh, that they already have.
Right? So it is part of a package and not necessarily a destination. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody who is just like, I don't even know if you can have Amazon streaming and not have Amazon Prime. Like, I don't even know if that's
that is definitely not
nobody does that. So that's what I'm saying. So like Amazon streaming service is not a destination for people. It is a backup to a thing they already have that they happen to use and that it gets used more than everything else. Because the reality of it is you get Amazon Music with it, you get Amazon
mm-hmm.
Photos with it, you get all kinds of stuff with it, right? Netflix, Vudu. I don't even know why I said Vudu, but Netflix, Vudu, Peacock, Paramount,
mm-hmm.
HBO Max, those are direct streaming services, and that's what you think of. But realistically, YouTube has more streamers and gets more television viewing time than any other streaming service on the planet, period.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is because they also now do the same thing that Prime does, which is if you're in there and you have a subscription to Stars or to HBO or to whatever, you can
mm-hmm.
log into that. And without leaving that other streaming service you're in, you can now watch this same stuff. And that's basically what Disney did with Disney Plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So rather than continue to truly have Hulu separate from Disney Plus, we kind of fold it all in. And there's stuff that is Hulu specific that you can't watch if you only have Disney Plus. But
mm-hmm.
it'll still show up in your searches and it'll still pop up and tell you that it's available there. But if you click on it, it'll say, well, you need to subscribe to Hulu or you need to change your package to a package deal so you have it. So to me, if I'm Netflix and I buy HBO Max, I'm not shutting HBO Max down.
Right.
People who have it and want to have it, cool, have it. The people who have Netflix and want to have it, they can have it. And if they happen to be separate, and they're probably not, because I don't think there are a lot of people that have Netflix, like that have HBO Max over Netflix. I don't really think that's the thing, but it could be. They just start to loop it in. And if something is exclusive, quote unquote, to HBO Max, which will feel like, why are you doing this to me when we know that Netflix, you own Harry Potter? Why aren't you just making Harry Potter part of Netflix? Why are you leaving it at HBO Max? Why? Because we can get another subscription from you. And
mm-hmm.
it won't feel like we are overly charging you for Netflix. So if I can still charge you $20 for HBO Max while I charge you $20 for Netflix, right?
Why
and then
not?
I put them all together in one thing, and I say, well, I'm gonna charge you $30 if you just kind of want to have it all here. You still, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's money to be made by allowing both services to
still live
independently while looping other pieces of it in, and you don't even have to do all of it. You could put Stranger Things on HBO Max if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say they'll do some of that crossover. So like when Hulu and Disney came together, some of the Hulu stuff started coming over to the Disney side. Some of the Disney stuff started showing up on the Hulu side, and that'll just give you like that little bit of taste. And then it's like, well, if I want to finish watching, they may give you season 1 of something from one of them, but if you want to watch the rest of this, you have to subscribe and come over to the other side to be able to finish watching it. So,
I mean, I again, Netflix has been purchasing game studios. If you log into Netflix on your phone or on certain television apps, it will show you can play this game right here in Netflix. You don't have to go anywhere. So what they're striving for is the thing that Google has and does really, really well, better than almost anybody else, with the exception of Amazon Prime, surprisingly, is they're really good at keeping you inside of their app. And that allows them to log ads and advertising and collect data that other people don't get access to. And so if you are on YouTube and you happen to have, let's say Stars, a Stars subscription, and you say, well, I'm already here in YouTube. I might as well just log into it so I can watch it here because I'm already in the app. That allows your watching time to still be calculated inside of YouTube, so they get the watch time for it. But then they also have your information for Stars. They know what you're watching on Stars. They know how to advertise directly to you by the things that you're watching in Stars that they don't have directly as an offer for you in YouTube, which is information they can sell technically back to Stars.
Yeah.
And or to anybody else, including other streaming services who are interested in finding out what's the best way to advertise to you, because you use the same email address, so they know it's the same person to log into all of this stuff, right? So if you're Netflix, and we know that information is the hottest commodity, it's the new oil. If I can pull that information in and capture that viewing information, that allows me to do it in a way that feels like it's a little bit less obtrusive, and it's like you're already here. You might as well just keep, you know what I mean? To some extent, it's brilliant. Here's the other thing I want to get into before we get into the Paramount piece of this. You know how I am. I did a deep dive, right? Went into a lot of this information. And there are analysts who are saying that they don't even believe that Netflix actually wants to purchase WB.
Saying that.
So here's the thing. Almost anytime there is a buyout offer like this that's made, there is a clause within the buyout that says that if for some reason this falls through, so let's say the FCC blocks it, or regulators say, nah, we're not letting this happen, right? Should that be the case, in this instance, Netflix has to pay WB $5 billion. It's a $5 billion clause that says if this doesn't go through, here's $5 billion. Which again, if you're willing to spend 82,
you got the 5. It ain't
10 of which is pure debt. You can have this 5 because you're not even getting out of debt with this 5. You know what I'm saying?
There for it.
So you can still get out of this. But if you think about it and you start to ask yourself, well, look, it makes a lot of strategic sense. Why wouldn't Netflix want all of this IP, control over all of this, like the studio? Like, why wouldn't they want it? And here's why. if you are Netflix and you're the number one streamer, by buying WB, by buying HBO Max, you are essentially taking out what across the globe is generally either the number 2 or number 3 streamer. And you are essentially pulling it off of the playing field for like a solid year.
Yeah.
Like the deal, if it goes through, isn't scheduled to go through until like third quarter of 2026. Right? So we're in the fourth quarter of 2025. Third quarter of 2026 means you're basically taking WB completely off the playing field for an entire year. They can't do anything. They can't make new advertising deals. Anybody who was pitching a show or had a show that was being worked on,
getting put on hold.
Can't do anything with that. That's on hold. Anybody who is now trying to shop a show, right, who would look at Disney, Hulu, Netflix, Warner Brothers, whatever, as possible options for where they would shop this show that they might want to put out, or a movie they might want to do or produce or whatever. Because again, you're talking about a full film and movie production company. Not that they're doing great with it, but you're talking about a full film and movie production company. So if you were pitching, you immediately take them off the block. I'm not even going to WB because they can't do anything. Even if they wanted to, they can't touch it, right? And I'm trying to get this greenlit. I'm trying to get moving on it. I'm trying to get money on the book so I can start filming, or I can start shooting, or I can start doing whatever the next piece of the work is that I need to do. So you essentially pull them off the market and you lock them up for a year to a year and a half. And then anything that could go through, they got to go deal with you. But at the same time, by taking WB off the map, you become a bigger prospect for them anyway, as a possible place for them to shop that deal or do that, And again, you're not just talking about, you're talking about advertising. You're talking about way more than just a
whole bunch of more than just
like that, right? So it takes them off the map. So even if the deal doesn't go through, and there's a high possibility that everybody will look at this and be like, that's an absolute monopoly. We're not allowing it. Right? It's totally possible. And that puts Netflix in a position to literally eat the market and have ownership over it by the time the deal is in a place where they say, yeah, it's cool, it can go through. Now, let's talk about Paramount. What do you know about what Paramount is doing as far as this is concerned?
Just like you said, the basics, like they're literally just taking what they're trying to do just straight to the top. Like, kind of trying to bypass the normal chain of the way you would go about this. And essentially just trying, I guess the idea would be is if the stockholders approve, like they would essentially, I guess, absorb the stocks that would give them the ownership of the company. That way, I didn't get the super detailed pieces of it.
Yeah, so basically what they're doing is, so Paramount, again, we talked about this. We talked about Paramount making an attempt to buy and that they look like they were the front runners. We talked about that their money, in order to do the deal, Paramount and Skydance just became a conglomerate, company. Like that just happened anyway. Their money is really coming from Saudi. So it's coming from Jared Kushner's company. It's coming from the Saudi PIF. It's coming from Qatar, like one other, like Saudi sovereign nation, and like one other person, which essentially puts them in a position to do an all cash deal. So what they're saying is the deal that Netflix has offered is it doesn't include any of the other stuff that WB owns, which would be spun off into a separate Discovery network, which includes like CNN and like all those cable channels and things like that, right? So those aren't included in the Netflix deal. The Paramount offer is for everything, including the cable channels, the networks, is for everything. And it is valued at like $108 billion versus the $82 billion. And what they are saying to the shareholders is, we are willing to give you $30 a share. And the deal that Netflix is offering is closer to like, it's not a lot of difference. It's like $27 a share, right? It's it's not, but it's somewhere in like the $27 a share place. But the difference is that it's $27 a share, but it is for stock. It's part stock, part cash. Where what Paramount is offering with the deal that they have is all cash, meaning that whatever shares you own, if you own 100 shares, we're going to give you $30 for every share you own. You're going to get cash. It's coming to you, right? Which they're saying is a better deal because of a couple things. It's a better deal because it's straight cash. It's a better deal because they're giving you more money for the stock you already own. It's a better deal because the way that they're financing the deal, doing it through the 3 sovereign nations of Saudi, allows them to bypass the normal regulatory stuff, which means it's a faster turnover and it's a lot more likely to just be a thing because it doesn't necessarily have to go through the same regulatory loopholes that the other deal would have to go through. And what has happened is WB has turned down Paramount's offer like 6 times.
Yeah.
Made like 6 different offers to them and they've turned them all down. Let me kind of rephrase this. WB's board of directors has turned down Paramount for the offer. They have accepted and signed the deal with Netflix. The reason why it's considered a hostile takeover is because since WB is a publicly shared company, publicly traded, they put an offer out directly to the shareholders to say, hey, we will give you this much for it. This is a better deal. You all should take this. And technically, the shareholders can go, yeah, that's the deal we want. We want that. We want the $30. We want it to go through. We want to get paid now. We don't want to wait. If we wait for Netflix's deal to go through, then we also have to spin off the cable portion, which also there's a possibility that those shares could end up being worth something, whatever, and they would still have some ownership over that. And it could be that in the long run, that ends up making it more valuable because there's another part that could be spun off and then also could be sold. But that obviously remains to be seen.
Like Ellis actually says, final play for Paramount.
Either way, if it fails, Netflix will scoop it. Hold on, for cheaper.
For cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think Paramount. The issue that I think most people have with the Paramount deal is the fact that it gives the Saudis control over all that IP, right? Like, and control over the movie studios. It essentially allows the sovereign Saudi nations to have control within Hollywood and of major movie studios and IP without going through the regulatory pieces that would normally maybe keep foreign nations from having that kind of control over product that exists here on U.S. soil, right? And maybe that's part of why WB turned it down, maybe, but who's to say, right? Like, whatever it is that WB will get out of going with Netflix versus going with a deal that, again, technically on paper and based on cash and how quickly it's likely to go through, does in fact sound like a better deal. Right? So there's something else. You know what I'm saying? That's there, and it's possible they just didn't like the way they were trying to force it. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? Like, even in Hollywood, sometimes all money ain't good money. And it's possible that that's where they are. But they're also leaning into the, like, we're Paramount, so we care about movies and about theaters, and we would keep that kind of stuff going, and we, whatever. Maybe. You know what I mean? Like, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure they'd like to. It doesn't mean they can do it any better than anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like if that's the case, then they wouldn't have had to partner with Skydance to do it. But now that they are in there, and they're also not doing it with their own money. So, like, the valuation of personally, the valuation of what Paramount and Skydance is, if you have to pull in this outside cash from these other places to do it, you don't actually have the funding as a company to do it, which tells me like you ain't really ready. Like you're not running your business in a way that says that you should be taking on another business, right? So there's a high possibility they would just take it and still sell it all off anyway, right? And Netflix could end up getting it regardless.
Yep.
That's a possibility, right? But it's an entire shakeup because with all of what WB owns, they own video game companies. That's a thing that somebody else is now going to have ownership and control of over. But at least they're already kind of dealing in that space and trying to make things work in video games or whatever. They have the full DC print house. And so like what happens with that? What does that end up looking like? You know, what does that mean if Netflix? Does it mean that like Netflix is, you know, going to the heads of DC and being like, yeah, y'all need to knock out this Stranger Things comic right fast? You know, like taking their own properties and being like, let's take this and put this, you know what I mean, in a book, or you know, some along those lines. Like there's a lot of possibilities there. Ella said a sheik has to ask his uncle for money. It's all good. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. You know what I mean? Like it's still cash.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's still cash.
Listening. Let me get 30 mil up off you, Like, here's 60. Go buy whatever you want to buy.
Maybe. You know what I mean? So yeah, look, it's really tricky and it's hard to say which way it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know technically where they are. Is like Paramount is going, WB turned it down, didn't take the best deal for their shareholders, and really what they're supposed to be doing is always acting in the best interest of
that's the interest.
And they didn't do that, so we're coming out publicly and telling you, here's the deal we offered them. Y'all decide if you want it, right? And the shareholders might be like, nah, dog, that's what we want to do.
That's what.
Right? They could say, no, we don't want to do it. We're good with Netflix. We're going to take the Netflix deal. Netflix will hold them up for a year and a half, continue to grow, you know what I mean, and kind of push other folks out, and it still could possibly not go through because regulators might be like, nah,
nope,
we're not doing it, right? And then at the end of that, you end up having, you know, there's a bump in what the value for the company is when you have multiple people going like, well, we'll give you this for it, we'll give you this for it, we'll take this for it. There's also the possibility that like Netflix looks at it and they go, well, we'll buy all of this, but we really only want these things. We'll sell. Right. NetherRealm can buy themselves out, or you know what I mean, or something like that, which I think would be great.
Yeah.
Because they also might take NetherRealm and just be like, here's the deal, broski. We ain't doing no more of this injustice. Y'all about to make a Game of Thrones game.
Yeah.
You're going to start putting Game of Thrones characters in Mortal Kombat, you know what I mean, or something like that. Like, that could be the direction they choose to go in. You just never know. So, it remains to be seen. And it'll be very interesting to see how it turns out. Because I don't know if I've ever internally said the plot thickens as quickly as I did when I saw Paramount was like, nope, hostile takeover, dog, this is what we doing. I was like, yo, the plot thickens. Because I was already like, we know what we talking about on Tuesday.
And listen, they hit that like, hey, listen, we gonna write to mom and daddy. We gonna talk to them. We ain't going through, you know.
Hey, dog, straight snitching. Which also makes me feel like I don't like you.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why you don't do that? Anyway, look, technically the WBD shareholders have like 20 days to respond. You know, so it'll be basically next year before we know. Not necessarily, but it could drag out that long. I mean, they might decide tomorrow and just be like, yeah, we taking that deal. Like, who knows? But you know, Netflix might own Scooby-Doo, dog. Might be going down, bro. We'll see how it turns out. Let's talk about Ocean City. Give me the rundown for Ocean City for this weekend, Jokes.
Man, so Ocean City. So for us, we got our 2 panels that we're going to be doing there. So the top 10 theatrical DC movie releases, live action. That is going to be going down. There are some rules specifically in place because with DC and their live action, there are some movies that do fall under the banner that we are just not going to be considering. So Watchmen and Constantine, they count. Anything else doesn't fall under the bracket for it. So gonna have a good time. It's gonna be crazy.
Doesn't fall under the what for it?
The bracket.
The bracket.
Maybe that didn't come out of the way, but it's bracket.
No, it definitely didn't come out as bracket. I don't think. But like we could play the tape back
and find out later. Cool, whatever. Aside from that, we will also be doing our being comfortable being a geek panel. Same as we always do. There'll be a little bit of a different feel on it, I feel like, when we go in to do it this time. But we'll be doing each of those panels. One will be on Saturday, one will be on Sunday. So you will definitely have 2 opportunities to come and be a part of the Loading Snacks panels if you are going to be in attendance at Ocean City. We will also be having a moment of silence for Sin, thanks to the good folks over at Ocean City, that we will be doing right before. Is it the main cosplay contest, if I'm not mistaken?
It's the main cosplay contest. Mm-hmm. The individual cosplay contest is on Saturday. Mm-hmm. This is on Sunday. So Sunday at 2:45. The group cosplay contest is at 3. Mm-hmm. So Sunday at 2:45, we'll be doing the moment of silence in the theater prior to the group cosplay contest. So our panel on Sunday for being comfortable being a geek is from 1:40 to 2:40. 2:45 we'll be at the theater to do the moment of silence. It isn't just for Sin. We've lost several people who we're gonna take a moment to pay some homage to, and pay our respects to, I should say, during that time frame. The Saturday top 10 DC live action films. That's from 150 to 250. Yeah, and then there's the after party. There is an after party. I can't tell you any more than we'll be in there. Not getting into anything more than that. We'll be up in there. So look, if you can make it out to Ocean City, if you're going to be there, obviously Andrew already said he's looking forward to seeing us there. We're looking forward to seeing you too. If you guys are there, if you see us, come through, say hey, speak to us. We love to chop it up with you all right before the holidays. And Ocean City is a really good time for us to do the convention and to have a chance to kind of just hang out and relax as our last convention of the year. Mm-hmm. So it's always a really good time, and it's great to kind of see everybody.
Of course, Rob's like, we'll be there.
What up, Rob? Yeah, buddy, looking forward to seeing you, singing some songs or something. Yeah, but anyway, Ocean City this weekend. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really good time. And then the only thing we technically have on the books left for this year is Popeyes and Pajamas, which it remains to be seen whether or not we will go live in some manner for that. But we always do Popeyes and Pajamas for New Year's Eve, leading up to the ball drop. We did not go live last year. We thought about it, but we didn't. It was the first year that we had been physically together for Popeyes and Pajamas since pre-COVID. In the years before that, we had still gone live while we were together. In COVID and after COVID, we did it like we're doing this now, virtually. We have generally streamed to raise additional monies for Extra Life. And while that's not completely out of the question, we have exceeded our goals for Extra Life. And I just want y'all to know that the piper still has to be paid. We still have some things that we have to take care of because we met and surpassed that threshold. So look for that before the year is out. Right, Jokes?
Yep.
All right. Just making sure. Wrestling. What's going on with the Finisher Podcast?
Yes, sir. New episode of Finisher Podcast will be dropping tomorrow at 10 a.m. Obviously, also this weekend is John Cena's final match that actually is going to be here in DC. We actually go down, me and Marcus, we have a good breakdown talking about some of the best moments for us personally and just overall for John Cena and his history within the WWE. So a lot of that is going to be, you'll be able to see that first thing tomorrow morning. Ironically enough, outside of wrestling, I'm gonna tie a little anime into this because this weekend's kind of crazy. We'll be in Ocean City. John Cena's final match is happening. We are also getting the final episode of My Hero Academia, which is another history thing that's going down. Yes, there's a spinoff show happening right now, but this is the main story that we have now had probably upwards of a decade probably going on now. If you include the manga, but it's finally coming to an end. So at some point, we're probably going to end up watching that last episode, maybe while we're in Ocean City as well, too.
What day does it come out?
Saturday.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's not happening. You just said Friday, I'd have been like, cool.
Saturday? It would have been Friday. We would have been perfect, but nope. It's a Saturday thing, too.
It ain't happening. Now, maybe Sunday night, after the convention, like before we go to dinner, or like while we're at we can maybe work something out for Sunday. Saturday? Nah, bro. We ain't got nah, bro. Nah. We got after party to party at. That's how I know I need to be there. I gotta make sure no, sir. All right, look, this is the part where we wrap it up and we do our least favorite part of the show, which is say goodbye. But we got to do it. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to give a special shout out to all the lurkers, those of you who are here, who are watching, but don't feel comfortable to, or whatever, for whatever reason, don't chat or what have you. I want to give an extra shout out to those who did chat. That helps keep the show alive and, and so forth. All of it is important. All of it matters to us. And we are very thankful that you are here with us, whether you're watching live or you're watching later. So thank you for doing that. Jokes, tell the people what I need them to know.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we are out. Toodles and lose.
Loading snacks.
Pipe it up.